What is going on, guys? The Inside the Boot Podcast, and today we have another mock draft. And the Giants, of course, we were taking the pick with the Giants. 3 rounds as usual. Let's go right into this. Of course, playoffs are starting to get a little interesting, right? The Eagles fall to the Bucks. The Cowboys lose to the Green Bay Packers. And now I'm questioning, is this one of the biggest drafts for the New York Giants? Because you look at the NFL draft, it's so important to draft well in this league, and I think everybody knows that, including myself. The Giants haven't drafted that well in recent years. I mean, they've gotten some stud talent in the past, but they've also passed up on a lot of guys that could have made a huge impact to this team. I mean, I can go on on who they have passed up. I'm not going to get into it, but of course, Bears selecting at number 1, Commanders at 2, Patriots at 3, Cardinals, and then Chargers. Those are the top 5, and then the remaining, of course, we know. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good draft. Of course, let's see what goes on. Let's just see what the computer picks and what we're going to be dealing with. So, kind of what we expected. I'd say except for Joe Alt going to the Cardinals, I really didn't expect that. But the top 3 is that's probably how it's going to go. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to go to the Patriots. I really don't. I think with how good Marvin Harrison Jr. is, it's hard to pass up on a guy like that. Because the Patriots don't have anywhere close to a good wide receiver room. And if you can get a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., start to build around him, maybe have another year of Mack or Bailey Zappi, and then look quarterback after that. But Giants, of course, selecting at number 6, Brock Bowers is here, Romo Dunze is here, Cooper DeJean, Fashanu, Johnny Newton, and Jaden Daniels. So, tough selection here if you're the New York Giants. You can go with the quarterback with Jaden Daniels. The question is, though, if you go with a guy like Jaden Daniels here from LSU, what is the future with Daniel Jones? That probably means they're cutting him after his second year, coming off a torn ACL. And the Giants, Joe Shane and Brian Dable, are picking their quarterback. So it doesn't mean that Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback of the future, right? And I feel like quarterback is the most important position. If you can get an elite quarterback, that makes your team already a lot better. You've already seen it with a bunch of teams. Joe Burrow, actually, I wouldn't even really say Trevor Lawrence, but Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and all those guys, right? Really elevate their team, and they build around. They build up the offensive line. They build up the wide receiver room. They get them a good enough tight end, right? You know, they have a decent running back, and then they build the defense up. But I really do like Jaden Daniels here at 6. I also like Vashanu. I think with this offensive line, it's hard to pass up on offensive line. I totally understand that. It is very tough for the Giants to pass up on offensive line when they're 32nd ranked in the NFL with poor blocking. Last in the league in pass blocking. One of the worst run offenses in the league. There were many games where Saquon was averaging under 4 yards to carry, and that's just unacceptable. But this time, I believe we went for Sean in the last draft. We're going Jaden Daniels at number 6. I think that's probably the smart pick. It's really either him or Vashana with how the board is. Because, I mean, this team, they need offensive line. I really know that. All right, I do know that. Quentin Mitchell is not here this time, so that's okay. There's a decent wide receiver here. I mean, with the offensive line, group here, it's kind of tough to pick. I mean, Patrick Paul is here. Could go with Patrick Paul, obviously, but I think he could be there at 47. So, and I don't think Keon Coleman is really that. I think he's good. I just don't think he really fits with what the Giants are trying to do. TJ Tampa from Iowa State is interesting. Not terrible per PFF. But I think in this case we will be taking Byron Murphy with the second round pick. I think that's probably the smartest decision. I mean, you look at some of the other, wide receivers and all of that, but I think Byron Murphy is a really good player. He's climbing up my board for sure, and I think he's a stud out of Texas. He's a good run stopper, and the Giants need that. So, now we look at this. I think probably the smart choice is to go offensive line. But, I mean, there's a lot of different options this team can go. I mean, they can go a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson for sure. He played 350 snaps in 2022 at right guard. He could be an option for sure. But he played all of his snaps this year at center. Obviously, JMS isn't going to move. They're not going to move him to guard. They're not going to move him to tackle. He is your center. There's some other guys like Tyler Gooten. He isn't amazing. I think, honestly, the pick might be Jackson Powers Johnson. Honestly, I think I like him better than Patrick Paul, in my opinion. And that is going to be my pick. I believe Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be the selection with the second rounder. I believe that's what's going to be the pick. Also, before we take him, let's just recap the first round. I forgot to do that. So Brock Bowers goes to the Titans. Odunze goes to the Falcons. Fashanu heading to the Bears. Nate Wiggins heading to the Jets. Johnny Newton going to the Vikings. Let's see. Does Michael Penix Jr. go into the first round? No. Michael Penix Jr. goes in the second round. So they pair up Michael Penix Jr. with Marvin Harrison Jr. That could be a scary duo. But, I mean, the thing with Michael Penix Jr., right, he's climbing up the board a lot because of his college play. We know that. Did he play the greatest against Michigan? Probably not. I mean, this guy is also, he's had some injuries. I think he's had 2 ACL injuries. He's had a shoulder injury. So there's a lot of question. I think he's also turning like 24. So say what you want about that. 24, 25, something like that. But I think Michael Penix has a very good arm. It's just the injury history, and that alarms teams. When you hear injury history, that is a ton of questions. Are they going to be healthy? When they play to, games like MetLife. If they're playing at MetLife or they're playing at, bad conditions, what does that mean for them, right? But anyways, we're going to take Jackson Powers Johnson with this pick. Could go Patrick Paul, but this team, we're going to make the assumption that they're just going to move him to right guard. And Evan Neal is going to be the right tackle starter. This team, I feel like, has to draft offensive line in one of the first few rounds. So definitely an interesting board here. I don't think in any of our videos we have had a board like this. So as you can tell, a lot of people moving up the boards, a lot of people moving down the boards. Now, is running back in play? Maybe. Do they go with a guy like Blake Corum? Do they go with a guy like Trey Benson? Right. Haven't taken a running back really much with this pick. So, I mean, we look at, what this team needs, right? They need offensive line. We addressed that with Jackson Powers Johnson. The guy's a beast. All right, we got him a quarterback. Daniel Jones is probably not going to be with the Giants much longer. To be totally honest, as much as I love Daniel Jones, as a person, as a football player, he's coming off a torn ACL. That already alarms. And I think for Joe Shane and Brian Dable's jobs, because if the Giants have another bad season, Joe Shane's seat and Brian Dable's seat is going to be red hot. You're playing in New York. Fans want things to change quickly, and they want to be in the playoffs consistently, like the Dallas Cowboys, like the Eagles, like the Chiefs, like the Bills, all those type of teams. And New York fans want that now, and they think Joe Shane and Brian Dable are good GM and coaches. I believe that as well. But if you have another five-win season, there are a lot of questions with Brian Dable. Is he on the hot seat? Most definitely, I think. If Joe Shane doesn't make the right moves in the draft, which I find very hard to believe, because I just think Joe Shane is good. I think Joe Shane is good enough for this job. He's had to deal with Gettleman's mess. We all know that. And Joe Shane has done a good enough job, right? First year playoffs, second year, your $40 million QB gets hurt. A lot of injuries, and they don't have the talent to compete against the 49ers or the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles, they may, because the Eagles looked like hot trash against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? So there's that as well. I think the Giants could contend next year for a playoff spot if they draft well. If they don't draft well and they don't sign the right guys, and if Daniel Jones doesn't have a good year next year, like when I'm talking good year with Daniel Jones, I'm talking at least 25 touchdowns. If I can't get that out of Daniel Jones and I'm having like a 20 touchdown season, I can't accept that. I don't think he's going to throw 30 touchdowns and ball out coming off an ACL. But I need to see good football out of him. Read the field better. There have been times that he could have avoided sacks. Now, am I saying this offensive line has been good? No. But I'm saying that Daniel Jones has the legs to get out of sacks, and he was a completely different quarterback this year. I don't know if it was because he got hit hard all the time or whatever it was, but so this is our third round pick. Final pick of the draft. It's definitely an interesting one. I mean, they couldn't go like a guard like Christian Haynes, but I don't know if they're gonna really do that. I don't know if they're really gonna go wide receiver. Now, linebacker isn't out of the question. I feel like this is a linebacker or running back spot. Here, I mean, we look at the linebackers here. Nothing really that we have drafted in the past. But I kind of like running back here. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like running back here. I'm kind of liking not Donovan Edwards, but I'm kind of like Blake Corum here. I'm liking him and Trey Benson. Trey Benson, 14 touchdowns. And Blake Corum had 27 touchdowns. Look at the receiving yards, 117 for Blake Corum. Trey Benson at 227. Now, I think the overall running back, you're probably looking better at Trey Benson. And that might be the pick here. But I think Blake Corum is going to be a very, a good running back. And I think now you're like, oh, Vin, why are we drafting a running back? What about Saquon Barkley? I think for Saquon Barkley, now, do I think he's going to sign long-term? I am still in question. I think, I'll say right now, as of today, there's a 70% chance Saquon Barkley's back. Now, if he's not, I would definitely draft Blake Corum or Trey Benson. One of those two guys should be New York Giants, in my opinion. And I think if Saquon had to leave, he'd go to Baltimore. I think he would join OBJ and Lamar Jackson. I think that Ravens team would turn out to be one of the better offenses we've seen in recent time. Because I do want Saquon to succeed in this league and stay healthy and have a good career. And I think from a business point, if that's what he wants to do, I don't know if New York is in a position to give Saquon a long-term contract because there's other needs with this team, right? Quarterback, wide receiver, defensive line, cornerbacks, secondary. And I don't know if I'm willing to give Saquon a $14-15 million deal close to Christian McCaffrey and say, okay, this offense is back. Now, Saquon Barkley makes this offense 10 times better, right? So, I mean, that's the other question. And, of course, Joe Shane and Saquon are going to have conversations. But I'm going to go Trey Benson here to wrap up the draft. And so that's going to do it for the draft. Definitely, you guys have loved these drafts. They've done very well on the channel. So this is our mock. Went Jaden Daniels to start. I feel like that could be a reasonable pick along with Vashanu. Byron Murphy in the second round. I like it. I think his value is going to go up. I didn't think he was going to be there at pick 47, so I got him there. Went Jackson Powers Johnson to fill out right guard. I think they could put him at right guard and he could succeed. He's a man. He's a workhorse. He does everything right that you want. I don't think you should worry about the future about JMS if they go Jackson Powers Johnson. And then we went running back because we haven't drafted a running back in a while, so I want to change things up. And they could very well draft a running back this year because you can get him on a rookie deal. Giants are not at a lot of money. They're at $31 million, I believe. I got to check the cap space, but I'm pretty sure it's $31 million. Obviously, they can create more. But, yeah, I mean, I think this draft, B+. I think with how things have gone, these drafts have been definitely different. Like, we've gotten Byron Murphy, I think, at pick 70, I think, before, along with Montez, not was it Tre'Davious Sweat, something like that? Tre'Davious Sweat, I forgot his name. But yeah, he's a good player. I like this draft. Now, what I would probably like offensive line. But I didn't really like at 39. I think Byron Murphy, along with Dexter Lawrence, could be an absolute beast of a duo. We already know Dexter Lawrence is a top end defensive tackle. You can argue he's the best in the league. He definitely had the best year out of defensive tackles, and he might even get better. Right? He was a beast. He terrorizes offensive lines, and I think he could be a really good player. But anyways, guys, this has been a Giants mock draft. I'm Vin. Definitely continue to support these videos, the mock drafts, Giants, Rangers, Yankees videos. With the Giants season ending, definitely expect more Rangers content because that season is in full swing, heading into the second half. And for the Yankees, we are just about a month away until spring training. I'm excited for the Yankees. I'm excited for the Rangers. Excited for the Giants to have a good draft. Enjoy you guys. Just enjoy the video, and that's gonna do it for you for this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.